Okay, we're back. Prayers of Pralahda to pacify the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam's Canto 7, Chapter 9, starting now with verse 21. Mayamanak shujati karma mayam baliya kalena chodita gunanu matena pumsa chandomayam yad ajayarpita sodasharam samsara chakram ajako titare twadanya. O Lord, O Supreme Eternal, by expanding your plenary portion, you have created the subtle bodies of the living entities through the agency of your external energy, which is agitated by time. Thus the mind entraps the living entity in unlimited varieties of desires to be fulfilled by the Vedic directions of karma kanda, fruitive activity, and the 16 elements. Who can get free from this entanglement unless one takes shelter at your lotus feet? Purport. If the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in everything, where is the question of being liberated from material engagement to spiritual blissful life? Indeed, it is a fact that Krishna is the source of everything, as we understand from Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. All the activities of both the spiritual and material world are certainly conducted by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the agency of either the material or spiritual nature. As further confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sachara charam. Without the direction of the Supreme Lord, material nature cannot do anything. It cannot act independently. Therefore, in the beginning, the living entity wanted to enjoy the material energy and to give the living entity all facility. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, demigods, worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. The real purpose of the Vedas is to direct one back, home back to Godhead. Excuse me. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Without the direction, Lord, material nature cannot do anything, cannot act independently. Therefore, in the beginning, the living entity wanted to enjoy. These facilities offered by the Lord to the living entity constitute the 16 kinds of perverted support. The wheel of repeated birth and death is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to direct the bewildered living entity in progress toward liberation, according to various stages of advancement. Different directions are given in the Vedas. If one wants to be elevated to higher planetary systems, he may follow the Vedic directions. Yanti Deva Bhutan Devan, Pitrin Yanti Pitrin Vrata, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Yanti Madhyajinopima. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. The real purpose of the Vedas is to direct one back home, back to Godhead, but the living entity, not knowing the real goal of his life, wants to go sometimes here and sometimes there, and do sometimes this and sometimes that. In this way he wanders throughout the entire universe, imprisoned in various species, and thus engaging in various activities for which he must suffer the reactions. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Madhya Lila, 19.151. We all know that one. The fallen conditioned living entity, trapped by the external energy, loiters in the material world, but if by good fortune he meets a bona fide representative of the Lord, who gives him the seed of devotional service. And if he takes advantage of such a guru or representative of God, he receives the bhakti lata bij, the seed of devotional service. If he properly cultivates Krishna consciousness, he is then gradually elevated to the spiritual world. The ultimate conclusion is that one must surrender to the principles of bhakti yoga, for then one will gradually attain liberation. No other method of liberation from the material struggle is at all possible. Number 22. Satvam hinitya vichitat maguna swadamna kalo vishikrita vishijat visarga shakti chakre vishishtam ajayeshvara sodasare nispidiyamanam upakasha vibho prabhanam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Great, you have created this material world of 16 constituents, but you are transcendental to the material qualities. In other words, these material qualities are under your full control, and you are never conquered by them. Therefore, the time element is your representation. My Lord, O Supreme, no one can conquer you. As for me, however, I am being crushed by the wheel of time. Therefore, I surrender fully unto you. Now kindly take me under the protection of your lotus feet. Purport. The wheel of material miseries is also a creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is not under the control of the material energy. Rather, he is the controller of the material energy, whereas we, the living entities, are under its control. When we give up our constitutional position, Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishnara Nitya Das, Madhya 20:108. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this material energy and her influence over the conditioned soul. Therefore, he is the Supreme, and only he can deliver the conditioned soul from the onslaught of material nature. Mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Maya, the external energy, continuously imposes upon the conditioned souls the suffering of the threefold miseries of this material world. Therefore, in the previous verse, Pralahda Maharaj prayed to the Lord, but for your lordship, no one can save me. Pralahda Maharaj has also explained that a child's projectors, his parents, cannot save the child from the onslaught of birth and death. Nor can medicine and a physician save one from death. Nor can a boat or similar means of protection save a person drowning in the water, for everything is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, suffering humanity must surrender to Krishna as Krishna himself demands in the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, 1866. Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasyami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. All of the human society must take advantage of this offer and thus be saved by Krishna from the danger of being crushed by the wheel of time, the wheel of past, present, and future. The word nispidamanam, being crushed, is very significant. Every living entity in the material world is actually being crushed again and again, and to be saved from this position, one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one will be happy. The word prapanam is also very significant, for unless one fully surrenders to the Supreme Lord, one cannot be saved from being crushed. The criminal is put into prison and punished by the government, but the same government, if it likes, can release the criminal from the imprisoned life. Similarly, we must know conclusively that our material condition of suffering has been allotted to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we want to be saved from this suffering, we must appeal to the same controller. Thus, one can be saved from this material condition. Next verse. Drista maya divibibo kiladishnapanam ayo ayushiyo vivava ichitigan janoyam ye smat pitu kupitahasa rijibita bru vishpuri jetena lulita satute nirasta. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for long duration of life, opulence and enjoyment. But I have seen all of these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, who were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. Purport. Within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material opulence, longevity, and influence. We have actual experience that even on this planet, there have been many great politicians and military commanders like Napoleon, Hitler, Subhas Chandra Bose, and Gandhi. But as soon as their lives were finished, their popularity, influence, and everything else was finished also. Prahlad Maharaj formally gathered the same experience by seeing the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his great father. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not give any importance to anything in this material world. No one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnava can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. At any time, such things may be vanquished. And who can vanquish them? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme Great, since the Supreme Great demands Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Bhagavad Gita 18:65-66. Every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. One must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age. Now, text number 24. Tasmadamus tanubritam aham ashishogya ayushiyam vivabam aindriyam avirinchat nechchami te vilalitan uruvikramena kalatmano panayamam nijabritya parishvam. My dear Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. As powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. My dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. Purport. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam, every intelligent man can get experience like that of Prahlad Maharaj through the historical incidents mentioned in this great literature of spiritual knowledge. By following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, one should gain through experience that all material opulence is perishable at every moment. Even this body, for which we try to acquire so many sensual pleasures, may perish at any time. The soul, however, is eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Bhagavad Gita 2:20. The soul is never vanquished, even when the body is destroyed. An intelligent man, therefore, should care for the happiness of the spirit soul, not of the body. Even if one receives a body with a long duration of life, like those of Lord Brahma and the other great demigods, it will also be destroyed. Therefore, an intelligent man should be concerned with the imperishable spirit soul. To save oneself, one must take shelter of a pure devotee. Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistada Payeche Keba. If one wants to save himself from material nature's onslaughts, which arise because of the material body, one must become Krishna conscious and try to fully understand Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvataha. One should understand Krishna in truth, and this one can do only by serving the pure devotee. Thus, Prahlad Maharaj prays that Lord Nrsimhadev place him in touch with the pure devotee and servant instead of awarding him material opulence. Every intelligent man within this mature world must follow Prahlad Maharaj. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. Maharaj Prahlad did not want to enjoy the estate left by his father. Rather, he wanted to become a servant of the Lord. The illusory human civilization that perpetually endeavors for happiness through material advancement is rejected by Prahlad Maharaj and those who strictly follow in his footsteps. Number 26. Kutra shisha shuti sukha mrigatrish narupaha Quedam kalevaram ashesharujam viroha nirvidyate na tu jano yad apita vidvan kamanalam madhu lavai smayanam durapai. In this mature world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in this mature world? As for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various diseases. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of the material world and never come to the right conclusion. Purport. There is a song in the Bengali language which states, I constructed this home for happiness, but unfortunately there was a fire, and everything has now been burnt to ashes. This illustrates the nature of material happiness. Everyone knows it, but nonetheless one plans to hear or think something very pleasing. Unfortunately, all of one's plans are annihilated in due course of time. There were many politicians who planned empires, supremacy, and control over the world, but in due time, all their plans and empires, and even their politicians themselves, were vanquished. Everyone should take lessons from Prahlad Maharaj about how we are engaged in so-called temporary happiness through bodily exercises for sense enjoyment. All of us repeatedly make plans which are all repeatedly frustrated. Therefore, one should stop such plan making. As one cannot stop a blazing fire by constantly pouring ghee on it, one cannot satisfy himself by increasing plans for sense gratification. The blazing fire is Baba Mahag Devagini, the forest fire of material existence. Forest fire occurs automatically without endeavor. We want to be happy in this material world, but this will never be possible. We shall simply increase the blazing fire of desires. Our desires cannot be satisfied by illusory thoughts and plans. Rather, we have to follow the instructions of Lord Krishna, Sarva Dharmam Parityajya, Mami Kam Sharanam Vraja. Almost every purport. Then we shall be happy. Otherwise, in the name of happiness, we shall continue to suffer miserable conditions. Prayers of Prahlad. Number 26. Kwaham Raja Prabhava Isha Tamodike Smin Jatak Suretara Kule Kwa Tavanukampa Na Brahmano not to. The causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be bestowed upon anyone, regardless of his position in the material world. everyone is eligible to worship the Supreme Lord, irrespective of this material position. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam cha yo vabhichayena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitraitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Anyone who engages in continuous devotional service to the Lord is situated in the spiritual world and has nothing to do with the material qualities, Sattva gun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Because Prahlad Maharaj was situated in the spiritual platform, he had nothing to do with his body, which had been born of the modes of passion and ignorance. The symptoms of passion and ignorance are described in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.19 as lust and hankering, tada rajas, tamo bhavaha, kama lobha dayastaye. Prahlad Maharaj, being a great devotee, thought the body born of his father to be born of passion and ignorance, but because Prahlad was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, his body did not belong to the material world. The pure Vaishnav's body is spiritualized even in this life. For example, when iron is put in the fire, it becomes red hot, no longer iron, but fire. Similarly, the so-called material bodies of devotees who are fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, being constantly in the fire of spiritual life, have nothing to do with matter, but are spiritualized. Srila Madhvacharya remarks that the goddess of fortune, the mother of the universe, could not get mercy similar to that which was offered to Prahlad Maharaj. For although the goddess of fortune is always a constant companion of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is more inclined to his devotees. In other words, devotional service is so great that when it is offered even by those born of low families, the Lord accepts it as being more valuable than the service offered by the goddess of fortune. Lord Brahma, King Indra, and other demigods living in the higher planetary systems are situated in different spirit of consciousness. Therefore, they are sometimes troubled by demons. But a devotee, even if situated in lower planets, enjoys life in Krishna consciousness under any circumstance. Paratak svatak karma tak. As he acts himself, as he is instructed by others, or as he performs his material activities, he enjoys life in every respect. In this regard, Madhvacharya quotes the following verses, which are mentioned in the Brahma Tarka. Shri Brahma Brahmi Vindradi Tat Katat Stri Pura Sutaha Tad Anye Cha Kramadeva Sada Mukto Smitavapi. Hari Bhakto Chatad Gyane Sukhe Cha Niyamena Tu Paratak Swatak Karma Kamato Va Na Katanchit Tad Anyata. That's one of those with no translation. Naisha Parabara Matir Bhavato Nanushaj Jantorya Tatma Surido Jagatas Tatapi Samsevaya Surataror Ivate Prasada Sevanurupam Udayona Paravaratvam. Unlike an ordinary living entity, my Lord, you do not discriminate between friends and enemies, the favorable and the unfavorable, because for you there is no conception of higher and lower. Nonetheless, you offer your benedictions according to the level of one's service, exactly as a desire tree delivers fruits according to one's desires and makes no distinction between higher and lower. Bhagavad Gita 4:11 says, Yaya tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders, I reward them accordingly. As stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivara Swarupoi, Krishna Nityadas. Every living entity In Bhagavad Gita, according to the service the living entity renders, he automatically receives benedictions from Krishna, who does not make distinctions, thinking, here is a person in an intimate relationship with me, and here is a person I dislike. Krishna advises everyone to surrender to him. Sarva dharmam parityajya, mam ekam sharanam vraja. 66. One's relation with the Supreme Lord is in proportion to that surrender and the service one renders unto the Lord. Thus, throughout the entire world, the higher or lower positions of the living entities are selected by the living entities themselves. If one is inclined to dictate that the Lord grants something, one receives benedictions according to his desires. If one wants to be elevated to the heavenly planets, he can be promoted to that place he desires. And if one wants to remain a hog or a pig on earth, the Lord fulfills that desire also. Therefore, one's position is determined by one's desires, and the Lord is not responsible for the higher or lower grades of their experiences. It's further explained. This is further explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Yanti deva patrindata pitrinyanti patrindata. Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyaji no pimam. Some people want to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Some want to be promoted to Pitri Lok. Some want to remain on earth. But if one is interested in returning home back to Godhead, he can be promoted there also. According to the demands of the particular devotee, he receives the result by the grace of the Lord. The Lord does not discriminate, thinking, here is a person favorable to me, and here is one who is not. Rather, he fulfills the desires of everyone. Therefore, the Shastras enjoin. Akama savakamo va, mokshakama, dharadi, tivrena bhakti yogena, yajeta parishamparam. Whether one is without desire, akama savakamo va mokshakama dharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That's the phone, right? Get it. Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or desirous of all further results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. According to one's position, whether as a devotee, a karmi, or a jnani, whatever one wants to, one can get fully engaged in the service of the Lord. 28. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavaha vahi krupe kama bikaman anuya papatam prasangat Vat Masat Sudashina Bhagavan Grihita Soham Katam Nu Visvijay Tavabritya Sevam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desire, one after another, I was gradually falling on a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as a disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How can I leave his service? Purport. As will be seen in later verses, even though Pralahda Maharaj was directly offered all the benedictions he might have desired, he refused to accept such offerings from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the contrary, he asked the Lord to engage him in the service of his servant Narada Muni. This is a symptom of a pure devotee. One should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. This is not the principle for a Vaishnava. Narottam Das Thakur says, Tandera Charana Seva Bhakti Sanivas Janame Janame Hai Eabilas. One should not be anxious to offer direct service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised that one become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Das Das Anu Das. This is the process for approaching the Supreme Lord. The first service should be rendered to the spiritual master so that by his mercy one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to render service. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. One can achieve the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru, by his spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. This is the secret of success. First, one should try to please the spiritual master. Then one should attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. One should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. One must first be prepared to serve the spiritual master, and when one is qualified, he's automatically offered the platform of direct service to the Lord. Therefore, Pralahda Maharaj proposed that he engage in the service of Narada Muni. He never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. This is the right conclusion. Therefore, he said, Soham katam nu visvijay tava britya sevam. How can I give up the service of my spiritual master, who has favored me in such a way that I am now able to see you face to face? Pralahda Maharaj prayed to the Lord that he might continue to engage in the service of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. Number 29. Mat prana rakshanam ananta pitur vedascha manye swabritya rishi bhakyam ritam vidatum kadgam pragridya yad avochat asad viditsus tamishvaro mad aparo patukam harami. My dear Lord, O unlimited reservoir of the transcendental qualities, you have killed my father Hiranyakashipu and saved me from his sword. He had said very angrily, if there is any supreme controller other than me, let him save you. I shall now sever your head from your body. Therefore, I think that both in saving me and in killing him, you have acted just to prove true the words of your devotee. The lower and higher positions of different living entities are due to their desires for the Lord, being equal to all. For the Lord, being equal to all, fulfills everyone's desire. The killing of Hiranyakashipu and saving of Pralahda Maharaj also strictly followed this law of the Supreme Controller's activities. When Pralahda's mother Hiranyakashipu's wife, Kayadru, was under the protection of Narada, she prayed for the protection of her son from the enemy, and Narada Muni gave assurance that Pralahda Maharaj would always be saved from the enemy's hands. Thus, when Hiranyakashipu was going to kill Pralahda, the Lord saved him to fulfill his promise in Bhagavad Gita, Gonteya Pati Jani Ha Name Bhakta Pranashati. And to prove true the words of Narada, the Lord can fulfill many purposes through one action. Thus, the killing of Hiranyakashipu and the saving of Pralahda were enacted simultaneously to prove the truthfulness of the Lord's devotee and the fidelity of the Lord himself to his own purpose. The Lord acts only to satisfy the desires of the devotees, otherwise he has nothing to do, as confirmed in the Vedic language. Natasya karyam karanam chavidyate. The Lord has nothing to do personally with anything, is done through his different potencies. Thus, when the personality, he personally does something, it is only to satisfy his devotee. The Lord is known as Bhakta Vatsal because he is very much favors his devoted servant. Next verse. Ekas tvam eva jagat etam mamusyayat tvam adyantayo pritag avasyasi madhyatas cha shistva guna vyatikaram nijamaya yedam nanevatayar avisitas tad anupravishta. My dear Lord, you alone manifest yourself as the entire cosmic manifestation, for you existed before the creation, you exist after the creation, and you are the maintainer between the beginning and the end. All this is done by your external energy through actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. Therefore, whatever exists externally and internally is you alone. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Eko pyaso rachaitam jagadanda kotim yachaktir asti jagadanda chayayaranta andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi prusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead, who by one of his plenary portions enters the existence of every universe and every atomic particle, and thus unlimitedly manifests his infinite energy all over the material creation. To create this cosmic manifestation, Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands his external energy and thus enters everything in the universe, including the atomic particles. In this way, he exists in the entire cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in maintaining his devotees are transcendental, not material. He exists in everything as the cause and effect, yet he is separate, existing beyond this cosmic manifestation. This is also confirmed in the Gita 9.4. Maya titami jat sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani acha ambashta svita. The entire cosmic manifestation is but an expansion of the Lord's energy. Everything rests on him, yet he exists separately beyond creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The varieties of creation are performed by his external energy because the energy and energetic are one. Everything is one. Sarvam kalavidam Brahma. Therefore, without Krishna, the Parabrahman, nothing can exist. The difference between the material and spiritual world is that his external energy is manifested in the material world, whereas his spiritual energy exists in the spiritual world. Both energies, however, belong to the Supreme Lord, and he therefore in a higher sense, there is no exhibition of material energy because everything is spiritual energy. The energy in which the Lord, all pervasiveness, is not realized is called material. Otherwise, excuse me, 31. Tvam va idam sadasadisha bhavam staton yo maya yad atma padabuddhir iyam yaparta yad yasya janma nidanam statir ikshananam cha tadvai tad eva vasukalavat ashtitarvo. My dear Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the entire cosmic creation is caused by you, and the cosmic manifestation is an effect of your energy. Although the entire cosmos is but you, and you alone, you keep yourself aloof from it. The conception of mine and yours is certainly a type of illusion, Maya, because everything is an emanation from you, therefore not different from you. Indeed, the cosmic manifestation is non-different from you, and the annihilation is also caused by you. This relationship between your lordships and the cosmos is illustrated by the example of the seed and the tree, or the subtle cause and the gross manifestation. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Bija mam sarva bhutani vidi parta sanatanam. O son of Prita, I know that I am the original seed of all existence. In the Vedic literature it is said, Isha vasyam idam sarvam. Know that I am the original seed. In the Vedic literature it is said, Isha vasyam idam sarvam yat yatova imani bhutani jayante and sarvam kalavidam brahma. All this Vedic information indicates that there is only one God and that there is nothing else but Him. The Mayavadi philosophers explain this in their own way, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead asserts the truth that He is everything and yet is separate from everything. This is the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is called Chintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Everything is one, the Supreme Lord, yet everything is separate from the Lord. This is the understanding of one's indifference. The example given in this regard, Vasu Kalavad Asti Tarvo, is very easy to understand. Everything exists in time, yet there are different phases of time factor, past, present, and future. Present, past, and future are one. Every day we can experience the time factor as morning, noon, and evening. And although morning is different from noon, which is different from evening, all are taken together are one. The time factor is the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the Lord is separate from it. From the time factor, everything is created, maintained, and everything passes through time's phases of present, past, and future, yet the Lord is always the same. Thus there is undoubtedly a difference between the Lord and the cosmic manifestation, but actually they're not different. Accepting it to be different is called avidya, ignorance. True oneness, however, is not equivalent to the conception of the Mayavadis. The true understanding is that the differences are manifested by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The seed is manifested as a tree which displays varieties in its trunk, branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has therefore sung, Keshavatuya Jagata Vichitra. My dear Lord, your creation is full of varieties. The varieties are one and at the same time different. This is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. The conclusion given in the Brahma Samhita is the varieties are one at the same time different. That is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam. Krishna, known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Because the Lord is the supreme cause, everything is one with him. But when we consider varieties, we find that one thing is different from another. We may conclude, therefore, that there is no difference between one thing and another, yet in varieties there are differences. In this regard, Madhvacharya gives an example concerning a tree and a tree in fire. Both trees are the same, but they look different because of the time factor. Time factor Tatenu kampan susamik sumano Bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. When a devotee is in a condition of so-called distress, he considers it a gift or blessing from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a devotee is always thus situated in Krishna consciousness, in any condition of life, he is described as Muktipade Sadaya Bhak, a perfect candidate for returning home back to Godhead. The word Dayabhak means inheritance. A son inherits the property of his father. Similarly, when a devotee is fully Krishna conscious, undisturbed by dualities, he is sure that he will return home back to Godhead, just as one inherits a father's property. Nyasyedam atmani jagat vilayam bhu madhye sheshet manat nija sukhana bhavo niriha yogena milita jigatma nipita midras turye stito na tu tamo na gunam chadakshe. My Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, after the annihilation, the creative energy is kept within you, who appear to sleep with half-closed eyes. Actually, however, you do not sleep like an ordinary human being. You are always in a transcendental stage, beyond the creation of the material world, and you always feel transcendental bliss. As Karuna Daksha Vishnu. Although you appear to sleep, this sleeping is distinct from sleeping in ignorance, as explained in Brahma Samhita. Yakarnanarnava jale bhajati sma yoga nidram ananta jagadanda saroma kupa adhara shakti avalambya param samurtim govindam adi prusham tamaham bhajami. Can you hold it?
Yes.
Back. I gotta stand up. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who lies down in the causal ocean. You can actually change the camera. No, keep it straight though, because that's the reason. In his plenary portion is Mahavishnu, with all the universes generating from the pores of his transcendental body, and who accepts the mystic slumber of eternity. The Adi Purusha, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Govinda, expands himself as Mahavishnu. After the annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, he keeps himself in transcendental bliss. The word Yoga Nidram is used in reference to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should understand that this Nidra, or sleep, is not like our Nidra, in the mode of ignorance. The Lord is always situated in transcendence. He is Satchidananda, eternally in bliss, and thus he is not disturbed by sleep like ordinary human beings. It should be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in transcendental bliss in all stages. Srila Madhvacharya concisely states that the Lord is Turiya Sthita, always situated in transcendence. In transcendence there is no such thing as Jagarana Nidra Susupti, wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. The practice of yoga is similar to the Yoga Nidra of Mahavishnu. Yogis are advised to keep their eyes half closed, but this state is not at all one of sleep, although imitation yogis, especially in the modern age, manifest their so-called yoga by sleeping. In this Shastra, yoga is described as dhyana avastita, a state of full meditation, but this is meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jnana Vastita. Tadgatena manasa. The mind should be always situated in the lotus feet of the Lord. Yoga practice does not mean sleeping. The mind should always be actively fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Then one's practice of yoga will be successful. Let's see if we can get Jagannath on the scene here. Tasyaiva te vapuridam nijakala shaktya sanchodita prakriti dharmana atmagudam ambasyananta shayanat viramat samader naber abut swa kanika vatavan mahabjam. The cosmic manifestation, the material world, is also your body. This total lump of matter is agitated by your potent energy known as Kala Shakti, and thus the three modes of material nature are manifested. You awaken from the bed of Shesha Ananta, and from your navel a small transcendental seed is generated. It is from this seed that the lotus flower of the gigantic universe is manifested, exactly as a banyan tree grows from a small seed. See how Pralahda knew all this stuff. Purport. The three different forms of Mahavishnu, namely Karanadakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who are the origin of creation and maintenance, are gradually being described. From Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is generated, and from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu gradually expands. Thus, Mahavishnu is the original cause of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu comes the lotus flower from which Lord Brahma is manifested. Thus, the original cause of everything is Vishnu, and consequently the cosmic manifestation is not different from Vishnu. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, where Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. Everything. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is an expansion of Karanadakashayi Vishnu, who is an expansion of Sankarshan. In this way, Krishna is ultimately the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. Brahma Samhita 5.1. The conclusion is that both the material world and the spiritual world are considered to be the body of the Supreme Lord. We can understand that the material body is caused by the spiritual body and is therefore an expansion of the spiritual body. Thus, when one takes up spiritual activities, one's entire material body is spiritualized. Similarly, in this material world, when the Krishna conscious movement expands, the entire material world becomes spiritualized. As long as we do not realize this, we live in the material world, but when we are fully Krishna conscious, we live not in the material world, but in the spiritual world. Let's just finish up by repeating this sentence. Similarly, in this material world, when the Krishna consciousness movement expands, the entire material world becomes spiritualized. Okay, let me have it. Okay, so we're here in Damodar Desh. These deities were once at somebody's house for a long time. He moved away and left them behind. So, and Jagannath was in a work camp, you know, where the laborers, mostly from Bangladesh and Nepal, but then they had some kind of rules at the camp. They couldn't keep the deities there, so they moved over here. So, thank you for listening, whoever's in there, and quite many. And we'll take a little break, 1 hour at a time is enough, and we'll be back in a little while to try to finish up the chapter. The prayers of Pralahda to pacify Lord Brahma. So I see Harinamananda and Kachayani Dasi, Mahasankirtanam, Haricharan, Gaur Karuna. Fantastic. Gaur Karuna Das, fantastic. That's his name, with the Harinam Ruchis. Many people I don't know. Praneshwar Das. All right. Okay, so we'll see you again after a little while. Hare Krishna.